It'll.
Probably still there, but we probably fell off.
Just as an FYI, my neighborhood also lost power.
Oh, yay.
Sorry, I already got my constituents asking.
And again,
Want to be Whitefish Bay?
you know what, you keep calling us that, we're gonna
You're 2
revolt.
blocks away.
We're gonna revolt.
What library does your kid go to?
Shorewood. He's always messing with me.
Oh, exactly.
Carl, can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Sorry, I was trying to text the We Energies people.
And finish that margarita.
That's one heck of a vacation.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So where were we? We had just voted on the one thing when the power went out. So now we're on 4F. Amendment to an agreement for action signs regarding direct outdoor. I'll turn it over to Mr. Fellows.
Sure. This is an agreement that the city has had with Direct Outdoor. There's been a slight change. Their agreement basically is changing properties. And so it's going from property related to Mr. Monroe to Solly's essentially. Nathan's reviewed it and the applicant's legal team has reviewed it and everyone's was in agreement with it. So we've placed it on the agenda for consideration. The criteria and everything is more or less identical to what you saw before.
Okay, change of location.
Correct.
Okay. Get a motion that amendment to an action sign.
Move.
Alderman Vukovic, second.
Second.
Alderman Bailey, is there any discussion?
I just had one question.
Go ahead.
So when I looked at the map, there would be the sign and then Solly's would have like 60 by 40 space, I think back there. That was the easement. Is there still parking and all that still expected to be there, or is that going to be reduced parking for Solly's? I'm just curious.
No, because the actual sign structure and the footing will actually be in the grass area that used to be an alley.
Okay,
And so essentially where you see parking, the signage will cantilever, 50 some feet up in the air over it. So there'll be actually no modifications to the actual ground plane
Oh,
of
okay.
Solly's other than a foundation being put in what is currently a grassy area.
perfect. Okay.
All right, any other further?
It seems to me that I remember the figure 500,000. Was that for a different sign or was that, or is this a new figure?
So it used to be 500 for one sign, and then in discussions, when it was agreed upon to do two signs, it became 300 for each. So it went up to a total of 600. This particular one is 300. And the city received the first 300 a couple of years ago.
Alderman Vukovic?
Not that I am going to kind of push this and we'll talk at a later discussion, but this is directly impacting my district, my city, my constituents are the ones that are going to have to look at it, see it. Let's talk about allocation of that 300 when it comes.
Have that conversation with the city administrator and he will make
there,
recommendations.
'cause-
Yeah. All right. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the next item actually goes along with the same thing. This is now the development agreement, because this is in a planned development district. So this is a development agreement for a minor modification for John Belinsky and Glenn Fieber. So the owner of Solly's as well as the owner of the sign, 4629 Northport, Washington Road. Mr. Fellows?
This is a rather simple development agreement. It's It follows our standard development agreement format with some exceptions. We've eliminated some maintenance type things with regard to snow removal and things like that because it's not really applicable to a digital billboard. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Development agreement with a minor modification. Moved by Alderwoman Vukovic, seconded by Alderman Doherty. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries.
Let's speed them.
Good to see you again, Mr. Fuchs. Right. The next item is a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale not to exceed $7,900,000 of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2023B. We do have John Meehan from Baird with us this evening.
Let's start the presentation.
Certainly can.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you have a little material on this, right? As background, in December of 22, the city took down a state trust fund loan. You can get it through the Board of Commissioners of Public Land. The loan is at the interest rate of 5.75%. Today's market, that's a higher rate than the market. So after having just gone through what would be referred to as the City of Glendale North Shore Fire Department process and saying, we got the negative outlook removed from the rating, which was good news. Secondly, we were able to get bond insurance at good reasonable cost. And third, we saw the sale results that we said, well, why don't we have a live official statement? We've got a recent rating. Let's move. Let's come to you and say, with your approval, we'll now take this to the market. And the parameter resolution sets up different items that have to be within. For example, in the document, though the issue size we're anticipating is 7,490,000, as a parameter, we're saving 7.9. Why? Because it's a parameter, it's just a high point. We're saying the not to exceed estimated rate is at a 5%. Right now, it's less than 4%. So you can see we're looking at moving this into the market, borrowing funds to allow us to pay off state trust fund and reduce the cost, the overall interest cost by something around $500,000. Mayor, I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Already had briefed us ahead of time, so I think we were all prepared for tonight, so.
It looks like we're extending this longer than the other one, but it seems like it's still positive for the city in that regard.
It's going out 2 years longer because we're looking at the overall debt structure of the city. And even at that stage, it's still over $500,000 in savings.
All right, so we have a resolution that would authorize the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $7,900,000 general obligation refunding bonds. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution, please?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Doherty. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Gelhard. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, commission, committee, board and staff reports. I will go first. I have here an MMSD document I can share with you all. As you know, there's the Fresh Coast Guardians program, which is all the green infrastructure work that MMSD does. This is their 2022 annual report, which I'm happy to share with anybody who would like to read it. It is printed on like thick cardstock, so I don't know if it's easy to make copies of it or not, but it is also posted on the MMSD website for anybody who's interested. There was an ICC meeting today. The ICC had before it one major topic we spent most of the meeting on. I actually left before the meeting was over because I had to get back for board of review, so the meeting was still going on. But it was the PSAP, which is the primary service. Public safety. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it is basically the 911 dispatches. And so there was a state law a couple years ago that actually established, it tried to get all the counties to consolidate. Well, like 71 of them have consolidated if they had multiple PSAPs in their county, and the counties run them all. Milwaukee County is a special snowflake, and we have a whole bunch of PSAPs, and so nobody wants to consolidate and everybody wants the money. And so it came down today to, there were 3 that were fully vetted by a committee, and the committee made its report. And so one is Bayside, which represents 7 communities. They meet and exceed all of the minimum requirements. There was Milwaukee County. Milwaukee County already answers the cell phone calls and then routes them to the proper jurisdiction. So their infrastructure. And then there was the city of Milwaukee. The city of Milwaukee, obviously very large, 60% of the population of the county. We did not make a decision today. The meeting was noticed to receive the report. But so there will be a bit of wrangling, I'm sure, between now and July as to whether it goes to Bayside, and then Bayside tries to do technology consolidation essentially, but without consolidating the people, or whether the county takes it over and then they work to expand their service beyond cell phone. Or whether it goes to the city of Milwaukee, which coincidentally uses a different radio system than everybody else. So, yeah. And we asked this committee to make a recommendation, and they came back and basically fully vetted the 3 and said, all 3 of these are great. Like, that's not what we asked you to do. So the next ICC meeting, yeah, will be one that has some politicking going on. So that is my report. Oh, fire department meets tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So that's my report. I will go to Chief.
The police department had several cars and officers along with a lot of DPW and fire trucks at the first annual Touch a Truck this Sunday. Weather was terrible, but there was a lot of people that showed up. We had a large crowd. So I give a hats off to Charlie and his crew and Terrell Mathis, who set it up really well. I thought besides being short of 50 degrees and raining, it was a lot of good people out there. It was a lot of fun. So.
Thank you. Clerk?
Nothing.
Wanted to briefly mention 2023 Assembly Bill 304, which is up for a public hearing tomorrow. May want to keep an eye out for this one. It's a proposal that substantially overhauls how liquor is regulated and licensed in the state. And a lot of it is sort of high level 30,000 foot stuff at the Department of Revenue, but some of it may have some impact locally. And it changes, just as one example, that you can potentially give Class C wine licenses to entities other than just restaurants, and does some rearranging of how Class B intoxicating liquor licenses, which don't exist right now, might be able to be given in certain circumstances to certain events, and might help us with some of the challenges we faced with events over at Bayshore. So as they say, stay tuned. Public hearing on that tomorrow. And I'm presuming that there's going to be some changes to this as it moves forward. But one of the other things it does is it allows municipalities that have extras to transfer within a county rather than within, 2 miles of a jurisdictional limit. So there's some additional changes that might come. So yeah, keep an eye out, and there might be some changes coming down the road.
Nathan, where are we at on our appeals?
Waiting for a decision.
Okay, is it 1 or 2 that we're waiting on?
Just one.
Just 1, okay.
All right, number 1.
Nothing to report for committees, but just want to remind the council that the League of Cities Conference is in November from the 16th through the 18th. There is an early bird special right now. So if you are planning on going, let's save the city some money and try to get it, because it is a couple $100 difference between that and when you wait until like September, October, November.
Where's it at this year?
Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
Georgia.
I've been to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities one, but I've never been to League of Cities. Can you give me a quick comparison?
It's just, it's about the
Bigger.
same, but it's bigger. I've brought some ideas, like bigger city ideas back to, like when Rachel was here. They focus on, a lot of it is focused on transportation, a lot of it is focused on transportation, but there is also subgroups like small city, we would be considered small city. And it's just a whole section of what small cities do, even though we're even a smaller city than what they consider a small city. Just the networking is really key. I think we've also brought some technology back from there. I know the mayor has got information from there. It's just something that, as we are only 13,000, a little over 13,000, but we kind of run as a bigger city. And some of the ideas that we have found or brought back are really impactful for us. And we are different than most cities in Wisconsin. So going out and looking and really checking on those things really do help. I've gone for the last 5 years, so with
3 of those years you were.
yeah, 3 of them I was on the league board, and then the last 2 years or the last 4 years I went on the league, and then this year I went with, or last year I went for the city.
Thank you. Number 2,
Nothing to report tonight.
3,
Nothing this evening.
number 4.
Nothing this evening.
Still looking for volunteers for the 4th of July. We're shy. It's coming up quick. So if we can't fully staff volunteers, we won't be able to potentially sell ice cream as a city, make money, sell beer as a city. Fortunately, we have Elite who will be doing our bouncy houses, so that's spectacular. But there's a lot of other things that we need, so it's get the word out. Thanks.
Music in the Glen met last Wednesday, and I think we're pretty well set, and we're excited for the brand new year. And again, I like to invite everyone out for the Salute to Veterans, which is it commences at 6:15, but come early to make sure you have a seat. Yes, sir.
Thank you. We are noticed to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub C in order to discuss performance evaluation of administrative positions. When we reconvene in open session, while the agenda does say regular order of business and possible action on closed session items, there will be no closed session items. It is merely just performance evaluation information. So, all right. So can I get a motion to convene in closed session, please? Moved by Shaw,
Second.
seconded by Gelhard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're now in closed session. It's 7:23 PM. We had a motion by Alderman Bailey, a second by Alderman Schmelzling to reconvene in open session. The motion was unanimous. We're now in open session. There's nothing from our closed session for us to consider. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gelhard, seconded by Doherty. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.